The Depth to Delve Deep by Rote. Chapter 19. Mary King's Close. The novel hostel has an authentic ambiance, though stuffed to the gills with backpackers. Fortunately for him, beds are available. Well, one at least. 11 quid cost per night pays for a bed in a dorm-sized room with 16 or so other bunk beds. There, the twin nemesis are left on top of the sunken bunk beside the door to the dorm. With that done, he leaves with his new friend, who accompanies him into his new digs. Now out, they are about to have supper in an authentic pub to eat bangers and mash. After they head to a Viking-like drinking establishment, still laying claims to part of Scotland, seen vehemently as they serve only Carlsberg brews. There they freeze while the live music plays. The entrance door is to remain open, much to the bother of the two tourists. Rote gets drunk. Without his new friend following suit, it makes for a lopsided lean on the night. So his Swiss suitor, stifled by the sot's slurred slant, slows her stay with him that night. After midnight, she says goodbye. She leaves him to return to her already booked bed and breakfast while letting him know the next night will be her last in Scotland before she flies back to Switzerland. They make plans, hopefully for her sake, with a sober friend, to go out the following night on a haunted tour. The tour is through one of Edinburgh's vaults, steeped deep in history beneath the buildings and roads like many of the old sewer systems. That decided, she leaves as she goes to another drinking establishment known as the most haunted pub in Edinburgh. It too is in a vault and has a history honed to serve the haunt. Rote flaunts the hook for haunt. He's so drunk he doesn't notice anything paranormal, but not drunk enough to stop drinking. He leaves with one too many before bumbling and stumbling back to the hostel. He passes out on his top bunk drunk, only to wake the next day with a hangover. Fortunately, since the start of his stay in Scotland, he's built up a resistance to wicked hangovers with his regular drinking and whatnot. This one doesn't last long. By the time he hooks up with his friend for the haunted tour, he's fine. The tour taken is probably the most highly recommended by the locals of the many pandering to the paranormal. It's a trip down below Mary King's Close where the vaults and those victimized by them have a tale or two to tell. As far as Rote can tell, an underground city grows below an overcrowded and overused old town. Down below are confined closes with tenements on either side, some 7 stories high. Buildings are built side by side on former foundations still flowing with life. Above, the flow of currency and commerce continues in the Royal Exchange, now called the City Chambers. It's built on top of Mary King's Close. Mary King lives in a lower tenement with her 4 children. Lo and woe, thinks Rote. Stuck below, the poor, unable to pay, stay in sewers, raw and rampant with rats. Some are sealed in sections, now vetted as vaults, left to die en masse in the Middle Ages at the height and horror of the plagues. Like a foregone conclusion, little white flags tag folks bothered by buboes in the throes of pus-filled lymph nodes. The designate unfortunate hope for food and for doctors to drain the pain. Rote reflects on this attraction and what attracts tourists to them and to train wrecks and car crashes. He reflects the effects and how he affects his Swiss friend the night before. They are now somewhat estranged from the earlier comfort and company they share. Nonetheless, they share in the joy of hearing ghastly stories, while down below in the vetted vault with barely breathable conditions. The vault assaults the senses, even the 6th sense. He senses a hell and smells the fell forces that tell it. He learns this vault, like many others at one time, hold unfortunate folk deemed as undesirable and dangerous due to disease, and how they are quarantined in a quagmire of the killing kind, kindled by the establishment of the day. The horror of being barricaded in thralls into the halls of Hades. These poor huddled masses, husbands and wives, and little children lost their lives, left to die in the cold, dank darkness, clawing and clamoring in confusion, condemned, damned to death due to the fear of further spreading the rue of the day. All the anguish and all around awfulness the aura seemingly manifests is magnified the moment Rote enters a small room adjacent to one of the main vaults. This particular portal is believed by some to be the most haunted antechamber, not only in the underground world of Edinburgh, but all of Europe. This all-hallowed haunt was brought forth beautifully by the guide. The tale raises the hair on the back of Rote's neck. It's a small room where apparently an aberration of a young girl haunts and continues to do so, since the vaults have been ventured and visited after being seemingly forever closed. Rote waits for everyone to move ahead, out towards the way, and while remaining in the room, alone, just to feel the preternatural nature of the nefarious nook. He joins the tour quickly when he feels a dank draft brush by his side, as if to instill a shrill, silent scream. He shivers and quivers through the venerated vault, vexed and hexed. After the tour, and both equally enthralled, the tourists tag team give their goodbyes. His Swiss friend lets him know she's planning to return to Scotland in a couple of months or so to take another more extensive tour of the Highlands. A 6 or 7 day haggis adventure, as it's later to be known. He lets her know he'll probably be homeless by then, and suggests they exchange emails to correspond and connect come her return. Rote returns to the hostel and seizes an opportunity to change the location of his bed, and beside the door to the corner bunk